Listen, girl, I gotta put you up on game as to why the whole internet world, when it comes to the sports world, whether you're part of the college NFL world, is crashing down at the moment because Shedeur Sanders was not drafted in the first round. So let's get into this. Everyone's been talking about who's gonna go number one, who's gonna be the first quarterback off the board. Rather, it literally Cam Ward or it's gonna be Shedeur Sanders. These are the best two quarterbacks. This is who everyone's been talking about. The conversation was always who's gonna go number one and number two, not if one of them, as in Shedeur, wouldn't even make it in the first round. So quarterbacks obviously are a big deal when it comes to the draft. Everyone wants to draft one if they need one. In this season, it seemed to be a lot of talk around the teams that needed quarterbacks were the Tennessee Titans, the Cleveland Browns, the New York Giants, and then the Pittsburgh Steelers. Oh, and also, it had kind of been talks that they thought that that's where Shedeur was going to go, was to the Steelers. He first was projected as 21, and then he dropped down to like 28 or 29 like this morning. So the Tennessee Titans had the number one overall pick, and they went with Cameron Ward, which a lot of people thought they would. And then the New York Giants, who also needed a quarterback, kind of, I guess. Right now, they had just signed Russell Wilson and then the other, but they're both kind of older quarterbacks, so people still thought they might go for one. And the New York Giants had the number 3 overall pick. They went with Abdul Carter. Okay, cool. So again, the Giants are at 3. They don't take a QB. We get down to 21, and it's the Pittsburgh Steelers. They think they're possibly gonna have a quarterback in Aaron Rodgers, but he's been a diva as always and just like, I don't know, I might retire. Like, he hasn't said anything. So a lot of analysts are saying it'd be their best bet for them to go ahead and go with a quarterback. Obviously thinking Shedeur or whoever's left, but clearly Shedeur. Because you just got DK Metcalf, you have George Pickens. They need somebody to throw to. Do the Steelers get a quarterback? No. They go ahead with the 21st pick and get a defensive tackle. Now, we're at this point in the draft, so if you know the draft order, it goes from the worst teams in the NFL to the best, okay? We're now at the phase in the draft wherein the Steelers are going and where the rest of the teams are. These are all the teams that made it to the playoffs. Therefore, 9 times out of 10, if they're in the playoffs, and the further you make it in the playoffs, the farther down you're on the list, that means you probably have a quarterback. So everyone's kind of like, okay, well, where's Shedeur gonna go now? Because next was the Chargers. They have Herbert. Vikings have their rookie who they took last year. Houston has CJ Stroud. Rams just re-signed Matthew Stafford. Ravens have Lamar. And you get my point. You keep going further down. That's where you're getting like your elite quarterback. So everyone's sitting here after 21 and like, okay, so what's gonna happen? Like, where's Shedeur gonna fit? And also, the further down the list we go, these are all younger quarterbacks. So this adds also another factor into it. They've been talking about there's been issues with quarterbacks being forced to be starters coming into the league and not having time to adjust or sit a season or two behind a veteran quarterback and kind of learn how the game is, because the game is a different flow and obviously from college. So my thought was obviously it would be the Rams. Matthew Stafford, yes, he just re-signed his deal, but we all thought he was possibly going to retire this past offseason anyways. He's a little bit older, so maybe he'll go sit under him at the Rams and then possibly start later. Because all the rest of these quarterbacks, you know, quarterbacks play like till their late 30s and 40s. They play for a long time. None of the rest of these quarterbacks are going anywhere, so it seemed to be the only fit. But they go with a running back. And so after that went through, we're like, okay, he's not going to get drafted in the first round. And then